Welcome back, StewHeads, to another serving of Remnant Stew. I'm your host, Steve.
And I'm Leah. From talismans, amulets, salt thrown over the shoulder, an iron horseshoe for luck and knock on wood, superstitions whose origins are murky and witchy and unknown still abound in our everyday lives. Everyone subscribes to superstition in some way. So what superstitions do you hold on to?
If you have an appetite for the strange and bizarre, then pull up a chair and grab a spoon for another intriguing serving of Remnant Stew. Remnant Stew is gluten-free, organic, made from all natural, free-range ingredients, and guaranteed to provide the recommended daily serving of curiosity.
This is our second episode of our second season, but with all of our episodes lumped together, it's really our 13th episode.
Oh, lucky 13.
And it's all about superstition. So I think maybe first we ought to define what a superstition is.
Well, a superstition is defined as a widely held but unjustified belief in supernatural causation leading to certain consequences of an action or event, or a practice based on such a belief. Now, I don't really think I have any real superstitions, but I do find myself with, might call it a self-calming action. I notice that if I'm drumming my fingers on the table, I have to go every other finger, as I do so, or else it just doesn't feel right. Not that I think I'm going to have bad luck if I don't, or good luck if I do. It just,
Okay, but do you put your shoes and socks on at the same way every time, like left, right, or?
No.
Nope.
No.
Then that is strange, Steve. Yeah. That is very strange.
Yeah, mostly I don't really have any superstitions like that. Like I feel like, something bad is going to happen if I do this. That's just not
okay.
What I do.
Phil?
No, just my right foot's first because, it's the right.
See, that's wrong. No, that's wrong. It's got to be left foot first. Or you're going to have a bad day.
Some would argue that, yes, it's because it's left is not right.
Okay, moving on.
Well, anyway.
So before researching the topic, I really would have told you that I didn't have any superstitions because I feel like I'm grounded in logic and concrete evidence, but not so much. I asked a lot of people about their superstitions, and I was surprised to find that I really do give in to doing a lot of little things that make me feel more in control of my surroundings. So
right.
I think that's what superstitions are all about. Really.
We asked on our Facebook page, and some people shared, and
right.
some good ones, and that does make you think a little bit more.
And then I was like, yeah, I do that, and I do that, and I do that. And like I said, I think that's where superstitions originate. Like it's just a way to kind of gain or feel like you gain control over something you really don't have control over.
A perceived edge. Right.
And I have a horseshoe over my back door, and I never really thought about it. And it's pointed the right way, like a U.
You don't want your luck to run out.
You don't want your luck to, it's got to hold in the luck. But, I don't think I could take that down and it wouldn't bother me. But here's something really funny that I completely made up. It was a superstition that I made up on my own. My sister and I, when we were kids, we were putting sheets on a bed.
Right.
And I wanted the sheets to go on the right way. They they had flowers on them, and the bouquets had to go, they had to face the right way. Right. My sister's like, let's just get this done. And I'm like, no, you'll have nightmares if you put it on upside down. And so I made her, so telling her that got her to do it.
The right way.
Yeah, my way. And to this day, I jinxed myself because...
Now you have to do it that way.
Now I have to do it that way. So when I asked her what her superstitions were, she looked at me. She gave me the look.
The sister look.
This is your fault.
And she said, it's the sheets. It's the sheets. So it affects both of us to this day, even though I know I made it up. So triskaidekaphobia is a mouthful.
Right.
And it's fear or avoidance of the number 13. It's also a reason for the fear of Friday the 13th, called, and I'm not going to even try to pronounce that first one. It's it's something,
paraskeeve.
Yeah, go for it.
Edecratrustrophobia. There you go.
Kind of. Sure. Or, and I like this one better, Frigga triskaidekaphobia.
Well, that's good. I like that. Frigga for Friday.
So the idea of 13, that 13 was unlucky, was fully in place in the 1890s when a number of English language sources related the number to the idea that at the Last Supper, Judas, the disciple that betrayed Jesus, was the 13th to sit down at the table.
He got there late, yeah.
And the Bible doesn't say anything about the order in which the apostles sat, but there were 13 people at the table.
Right.
And so fear of the number 13 shows itself in the fact that most buildings, at least in the U.S., doesn't have a 13th floor. They just skip
over
it.
Yeah, that's really strange.
From a 2017 article by Melissa Chan for Time magazine, we know that Stephen King, the famous horror writer, has a fear of the number 13. Quote, for Triskies, as King calls them. Triskies. The number 13 is scary, but when the date falls on a Friday, it's horrifying. Millions of Americans may suffer from fear of Friday the 13th, according to Saybrook University psychology professor Stanley Krippner. Hollywood capitalized on that by spawning the Friday the 13th horror movie franchise, and which the ominous day is associated with a nightmare-inducing serial killer. And FYI, we have a Friday the 13th this year in August.
Oh, okay. It's probably the day school starts. That'll be really good. As a school teacher, I can tell you that I don't really fear it, other than the kids just have any excuse to act out. That would be it. Full moons and Friday the 13th.
Who would start school on Friday the 13th? They're just asking for it. So here's just a couple or a few 13-related bad events. Apollo 13 was launched on April 11th, 1970 at 13:13 Central Standard Time and suffered an oxygen tank explosion on April 13th at 21:07 Central Standard Time. It returned safely to Earth on April 17th.
April 17th. Yeah, I remember that. It's such a great movie too about it. But
yeah.
It was bad luck, but they made it back in a way.
They did make
for
it
sure.
Back.
So,
and on Friday, October 13th, 1307, the arrest of the Knights Templar was ordered by Philip IV of France. While the number 13 was considered unlucky, Friday the 13th was not yet considered unlucky. The incorrect idea that the arrest was related to the phobias surrounding Friday the 13th was invented early in the 21st century and popularized by the novel The Da Vinci Code.
Oh, yeah.
And then from the Skeleton Key Chronicles, The Devil is in the Details was the article. There's Spuyten Duyvil train station in New York City borough of the Bronx that has a lot of trouble when it comes to the number 13. An express train carrying 13 cars was traveling down the tracks one cold January day in 1882. It just happened to be Friday the 13th,
all right.
When the brakes failed. The conductors were able to bring it to a stop, but another train, running 13 minutes behind the first, was unaware of the stalled-out locomotive and crashed into it, resulting in a catastrophic fire that killed at least a dozen people. I don't know why they didn't say at least 13 people.
Yeah, at least 13 people.
Passengers who escaped rolled giant snowballs in hope of extinguishing the flames.
Wow.
And there was another disaster at that station on December 1st, 2013, in which a Metro North Railroad, that's like it's over 100 years in between, so if that's the only
that's a long way
that they had.
Although you got to think about this, the date, December 1st, that's 12/1, okay, which adds up to 13.
That's right. Let's play a numbers game here.
On 12/1/13, go ahead.
The Metro North Railroad Hudson Line passenger train derailed near the same station, killing 4 and injuring more than 100 people. And the name, Spuyten Duyvil, literally translate to spouting devil
in Dutch.
You would think they changed
the name of the station, right?
So is that where Snowball's Chanson?
Thank you, Phil.
Okay, let's just keep on moving.
Yeah.
But some people embrace the number 13, the 13 Club.
Right.
In 1881, this is according to Wikipedia, an influential group of New Yorkers led by U.S. Civil War veteran Captain William Fowler came together to put an end to this and other superstitions. They formed a dinner cabaret club, which they then called the 13 Club.
Right.
At the first meeting on January 13th, 1881, at 8:13 p.m., 13 people sat down to dine in room 13 of the venue. Mm-hmm. The guests walked under a ladder to enter the room and were seated among piles of spilled salt. Many 13 clubs sprang up all over North America over the next 45 years. Their activities were regularly reported in leading newspapers, and their numbers included 5 future U.S. presidents from Chester A. Arthur to Theodore Roosevelt. 13 clubs had various imitators, but they all gradually faded due to a lack of interest.
They were just intentionally trying to rub it in the face of 13.
That's
Come
right.
after us. Well, speaking of superstitions, the world of sports comes to mind as really ripe ground for fertile ground for superstitions because of reaching the pinnacle of athletic competition. It's really difficult when you get up to that level. We have thousands of people play in college, but very few even make it to the professional level. So anything that gives a person a perceived edge over their opponent will be and has been utilized. As mentioned, all sports produce superstitious people, but it appears that baseball may spawn the most. And it has been said that hitting a baseball thrown by a major league pitcher is the most difficult action in sports. I mean, Hank Aaron, the home run king, 755 home runs, struck out 1,500 times, more than 1,500 times. So that gives you an idea just how difficult it is. Perhaps that's why there are so many superstitions in baseball. These were gathered from Business Insider, Wikipedia, Men's Journal, and the Bleacher Report. Starting with Nomar Garciaparra, or as they would say up in New England, Nomar. He was an all-star shortstop who played for 14 years in the major leagues, mostly with the Boston Red Sox. Nomar was a big fan of rituals. Before every pitch of an at-bat, he would adjust the Velcro on both gloves several times in a rhythmic fashion. As soon as he was finished with that, Nomar moved his bat in a windmill-like fashion while alternately tapping his toes.
I bet that was a sight.
Yeah.
It was performance art.
This is in between each pitch, That wasn't the full extent of Nomar's superstitions. When he was called up to bat, or when his turn came to bat, he would kiss his bat and climb the stairs of the dugout 1 foot at a time before getting to the on-deck circle, where he would repeat his at-bat routine over and over and over again. He also almost never changed the shirt that he would take batting practice in, and according to his brother, Michael, Nomar would lose it if you ever touched his hat. So, he didn't want you touching his stuff. A lot of people are sensitive about their hats, I understand, but he had a lot of different superstitions that he went through. Now, another baseball player named Steve Klein, he had an 11-year major league career as a relief pitcher for 4 different teams. Though he had a solid career, most fans took notice of Klein's sweat-stained hats. Klein would not wash his hat a single time during a season. As a result, his dingy hat became a common topic of conversation for the fans. His hats became such hot topic that the St. Louis Cardinals, one team that he was pitching for, one night held a Steve Klein Dirty Hat Day, where the first 5,000 fans that entered the park got their own dirty hat.
What did they do? Drag it?
I don't know how they manufactured these dirty hats, but somehow everybody got a dirty hat.
Wow. Okay.
Another player named Larry Walker, he has a 17-year major league career and was one of the best players during the 1990s. He was the National League Most Valuable Player in 1997, and he was elected to 5 All-Star games. So why was he so successful? Larry thinks it has to do with the number 3. Now, we were talking about 13 a while ago, but Larry liked 3. He wore the number 33 for his entire career. He made sure that the phone company gave him a phone number with as many 3s as he could get, and he would only wake up at 33 past the hour. Walker even got married on November 3rd at 3:33 p.m.
I guess it worked for him.
It seems to.
Now for today's bookshop spot, the part of the show where we take you on a virtual tour of one of the most magical of places, an independent bookshop.
Our featured independent bookstore today is Roundabout Books, located at 8 West Main Street in Troy, Ohio. Phil is giving me a hard time, because, and I'll tell you why in a minute. They stock books of every genre, including signed and collectible, music, which records, CDs, cassettes, and even a few 8-tracks.
Yay, I love 8-tracks. Wow.
That's a good one.
That's right up
comics
my alley.
and graphic novels, movies, DVD, and even VHS, video games, and manga. Which
No,
I was
what?
saying it was
Wait,
manga.
What is manga?
You sure it's
thought it
not
was a
just
fruit.
multiple fruits?
These are the jokes, people. They are giving me such a hard time. Anyway, as one of the area's largest independently owned bookstores, Roundabout Books offers, in normal non-pandemic times, book signings, they host book clubs, and sometimes even book conventions. The store has 11 huge rooms of entertainment and has received multiple awards for service and excellence.
Sounds great.
They're located in the heart of beautiful downtown Troy, Ohio's historical district, and
Right.
are surrounded by art centers and quaint coffee shops.
Troy, Ohio is just a little bit to the north of Dayton, Ohio, kind of in the western half of Ohio.
And a little bit north of Texas.
Way north of us. But my wife is from Ohio, so I love Ohio. Ohio's a beautiful state.
And listen to this. Because the shop and the surrounding buildings are historical, there's no short supply of local ghost sightings. Owner Sue Cantrell says that if you are lucky, you may even get a glimpse of William, the bookstore's own ghost.
Nice.
And I don't know if
Wow.
like somebody died there named William or if that's just what they named the ghost.
Well,
So,
if he would have told him, that would have been cool.
I mean, maybe
But
that's
I'll
the
let
guy
him know.
that stole from them. Anyway,
what happens after?
Is he on the payroll? That's what I want to know.
so of course, if you're not in the Troy, Ohio area, you can still shop the bookstore. They can be found on Facebook, Instagram, or even online at roundaboutbooks.com. Oh, and according to their website, Roundabout Books is a used bookstore and a whole lot more.
Oh,
That's
I love
awesome.
that. I love that logo. That's great. That
Whole lot
motto,
more.
I'm sorry.
That's good. Well, what they're offered, that is a whole lot.
Well,
Good.
and then there's William. A whole lot more, and William.
And William.
And mangas.
And William, too.
And manga.
And mangas. Or mangas. Richie Ashburn enjoyed a major league career that spanned from 1948 to 1962. Most of that time with the Philadelphia Phillies. Over that time, he maintained a .308 batting average, which is very high. His secret, he slept with his bats. He did
Nice.
He did this in order to make sure clubhouse attendants didn't mix his bats with the rest of the inferior ones. It must have worked pretty well for him, as he was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1995. After his playing days, Ashburn was a popular color commentator for the Phillies radio and television broadcast. He used to quip that he had, quote, slept with a lot of old bats.
Oh, my
I
God.
see what he
Was
did
he
there.
married, I wonder?
Gotta keep them warm.
I wonder what his, yeah. if
Well,
his
I don't know if he
wife-
was married. I'm guessing that he was. But
I'm guessing that he wasn't.
we'll have to look that one up. But there is kind of an interesting side note on his Wikipedia page. During a game, this is not a superstition, but it was too cool to not throw in here. During a game on August 17th, 1957, he hit a foul ball into the stands that struck a spectator named Alice Roth, who was the wife of a Philadelphia sports writer, and it broke her nose. When play resumed, Ashburn fouled off another ball that struck her again while she was being carried off in a stretcher.
How many times
Wow.
can lightning strike the
I
same
don't
person?
know. Absolutely. Oddly enough, though, Ashburn and Mrs. Roth maintained a friendship for many years, and the Roth son later became a Phillies bat boy.
Wow. She was a good
She was a good sport, wasn't she? Maybe he autographed the ball for her. Wade Boggs had an 18-year career as a third baseman. He is one of the few players to have more than 3,000 hits in his career. The 12-time All-Star attributed much of his success to a daily routine, and he refused to alter his habits. These everyday customs included eating chicken before each game, earning him the nickname Chicken Man, always taking batting practice at 5:17 and running sprints at 7:17, and drawing the word Kai, which is the Hebrew word for life, in the dirt before coming to bat. So he could have some variety in his diet. His wife, Debbie, accumulated more than 40 different chicken recipes, which is also a major league record. Okay, I just made that part up. Boggs' undying allegiance to his superstition helped lead him to one of the finest pro baseball careers of all time.
Oh my goodness. You know, some of these superstitions are really gross. The not washing of any,
Right.
but I could get on board with the chicken thing.
Right, a different kind of chicken every day. Turk Wendell was a relief pitcher for 4 different teams over an 11-year career. His numerous superstitions are more famous than Wendell himself. Wendell wore the number 99 for most of his career since it was his favorite. He liked it so much that he had every figure on every contract he ever received end with a 99. Adding to his colorful persona was the oversized necklace that he would wear in every game. The necklace was made up of teeth from animals that he had killed while hunting. While on the mound, Wendell pitched with 4 pieces of licorice in his mouth. When the inning was over, Wendell would take an exaggerated leap over the foul line, and then he would brush his teeth in the dugout between every inning.
That's crazy.
Wanting to get rid of the licorice taste, I don't know, but then he goes out and puts more licorice in his mouth the next time. Now, just so you don't think that it was only successful players that were superstitious, consider the case of Kevin Romberg, who only appeared in 41 games for the Cleveland Indians in 1982. Kevin wasn't in the major leagues for very long. In fact, he wasn't really all that good of a player. The only reason baseball historians ever bring it up is because he was exceptionally weird. Romberg never turned right while on the field. This had to make it really hard to field ground balls if it was to your right. Instead, that he would spin around and go to his left backwards.
That could be why he didn't last very long.
Right, could be. Probably made it pretty difficult. Even weirder than his directional impotence was how he behaved when players, coaches, or whoever touched him. He had to touch them back. For an example, if he slid into a base and another player touched him, he had to jump up and go touch it. You're really supposed to stay on the base once you get there, Now, of all baseball superstitions, I think one that players, fans, and even announcers all agree about is the no-hitter. Baseball is known. There's a lot of unwritten rules in the game of baseball that have just been traditionally passed down from generation and generation. And really one of the most important is that no one, not players, not announcers or fans, can mention the fact that a pitcher has not allowed a hit in a game. It's believed that saying something like, wow, our pitcher hasn't allowed any hits yet, is enough in and of itself to ruin the no-hitter. I've actually been to a Major League game when there was a no-hitter carried into the 6th inning, and the whole crowd gets really tense, on every pitch. But nobody says anything about it, because people think that you've jinxed the no-hitter if you say something about it. About the most the announcer is allowed to say is that the other team hasn't had any base runners yet. So that's all they can say. You didn't say anything about hit or no, or there's not been a hit yet.
There's a lot of superstitions, even outside of the sports area. Just talking about something, you don't want to talk about something
Don't
good.
say anything, you'll jinx it.
Yeah, you'll jinx it, and then you have to, of course, knock on wood.
Right.
So
now, going outside of baseball, one of the actually most well-known sports-related superstitions has to do with the magazine Sports Illustrated, and in fact, the cover jinx. The idea is that when somebody has had their picture on the cover of Sports Illustrated, that suddenly their career goes into the tank. That really has no foundation, but it's the idea seems to persist, and in fact, there's been 5 decades worth of evidence to back it up. People do really believe into this. There are a lot of athletes and a lot of issues of Sports Illustrated. Any misfortune that an athlete or a team suffers after appearing on the cover is really simply a coincidence, or at least that's what a completely rational human being should probably say. That being said, the Wikipedia list of all the cover-related incidents since 1954, and it's a very long list. In fact, there were 8 incidents in 2019 alone of people being on the cover and then having difficulty. However, the same article also cites notable exceptions to the curse, including Michael Jordan, who appeared on the cover more than 50 times, and I think he did pretty well with his career.
I think so.
Muhammad Ali had more than 40 times, and probably the best one of all, the 2016 Chicago Cubs. You see, at the beginning of the season, the Cubs appeared on Sports Illustrated with the banner, "Your 2016 World Series champions." This was before the season even started. They were predicting that they were going to be the champions.
See, now that's calling into fate.
That is, really is.
Asking for it.
Especially since the Cubs hadn't won a World Series in 108 years. He had to go all the way back to 1908. I mean, sometimes it's just not your century.
Apparently, every one of their fans.
I went to a Chicago Cubs St. Louis Cardinals game many years ago, and the Cardinals fans, it was in St. Louis, that loved saying 1908, to the Cubs fans. Anyway, they actually did win the World Series in 2016. So overcoming not only the Sports Illustrated curse, but there are many other curses that were related to the Cubs team as well. That
They blew out of the water then. Yeah.
They blew them all those curses out of the water that year. So now let's look at some other sports. Speaking of Michael Jordan, he, of course, enjoyed a long and successful career with the Chicago Bulls of the NBA, including 6 championships. But now if you look at his picture, particularly from those earlier days, you might have noticed that he appears to be wearing larger than normal shorts with his Chicago Bulls uniform.
That's the way they always look to me, though.
Right. Well,
All
they do.
basketball
He actually
players,
kind of
but-
started a trend, though.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Because if you look at basketball from back in the 80s, they were actually wearing those very smaller shorts. The 70s and 80s, they were pretty tight and small. But Jordan started wearing larger shorts, but the reason is because he insisted on wearing his University of North Carolina shorts underneath his Chicago Bulls shorts. So he kept his UNC shorts because he had a successful college career as well. He kept them on under his Chicago Bulls shorts. Now, there was a coach also that had a superstition, Jerry Tarkanian. He was a college basketball coach for more than 30 years. He was known for coaching the University of Nevada, Las Vegas team to the Final Four appearance and winning the tournament in 1990. I think he took him to the Final Four several times. However, the only thing anyone really wants to talk about is his towel. Early in his career, while coaching a game that took place in a sweltering Southern California high school gym, Tarkanian got fed up with having to constantly go to the water fountain, so he wet a towel and he chewed on it to keep his mouth from getting dry. Ever since that moment, he chewed on a towel during games out of superstition.
Oh my goodness, that's strange. That's very strange.
Chewing on the towel. Another basketball player named Jason Terry. He played 19 years in the National Basketball Association, 8 of those with the Dallas Mavericks. His secret for success? Well, in basketball, you see, it's important to understand the enemy as much as possible. If that means sleeping in their shorts, so what?
Okay.
So here's what Jason Terry did. He owned a pair of every team's shorts, and the night before he played that team, he would sleep in their shorts. He'd put on their shorts and go to sleep. And that's how
commitment.
he felt like they gave him an edge over the team because he had been in their shorts.
That's commitment.
No comment.
That was a comment. Now on to hockey. A hockey player named Patrick Roy. He's one of the more famous hockey people in hockey circles will speak of his name in tones of hushed reverence. Patrick Roy enjoyed a 19-year career in the National Hockey League, dividing time between the Montreal Canadiens, I believe they pronounce it, and the Colorado Avalanche. He's considered to be one of the best goalies of all time. How did he enjoy such success? Well, he held full conversations with the goal itself, especially the 2 side posts. And somebody asked him, during the games, he would be talking to the goal. We've got to do better. We got to make sure we don't let the puck get in. Somebody asked him why he did that. He says, quote, "Because they are my friends."
I think we're moving past superstition right into insanity.
When the puck bounced off of one of the posts and ricocheted away from the net, Roy would say, "Attaboy, you the post with the most." Okay, I just made that last part up, but he would actually talk to the post.
He could have said that.
He could have said that. He probably said something like that. He had gone, "Yay, post." Wayne Gretzky, I bet you know who that is. You've heard of him.
We're just making
known as
stuff
the
up
Great
now.
One. You can't get that name, Great One, though, without doing a few things a little strange. He had a very specific, you're talking about putting your socks on a certain way. Before game, he had a very specific way of getting prepared. He would get his uniform on, then he would go fire a warm-up goal wide right of the net. And then he would drink a Diet Coke, and then a glass of water, and then a Gatorade, and then another Diet Coke, in that order before the games. But the last thing that he did before stepping on the ice was to put baby powder on the blade of his stick. Somebody asked him why he did that, and he said, "I think it's essentially a matter of taking care of what takes care of you." I did not make that up.
I'm thinking, how many times did he have to call a timeout to go pee?
Right.
I don't know. That was a lot.
Break.
Don't eat the yellow ice, is what they would say. Now on to the world of football. I've always wanted to say something like that as an announcer would. Well, what would you do Leah, if a very large man came up to you and told you to slap him as hard as you can.
I'd do it? No, I wouldn't.
Well, that's what Jacksonville Jaguars defensive tackle John Henderson does before each game. The 6'7", 350-pound, and that is quite a mountain of a man, isn't it? Jaguar has one of the trainers slap him across the face as hard as he can. Evidently, he believes that it helps him to have a successful game. There is something about the previous, like the World War II generation. They were it wasn't uncommon for them to slap someone to help them shake them out of a stupor or to get them to wake up or think about what they were doing.
Get the juices flowing.
Yeah, something like that. So I guess that's what he does there.
I could see that. I think Phil could use a slap.
I didn't say that, Phil.
Bring it.
We'll start doing that before every episode. Leah will slap Phil, and that'll be our lead-in. Now, college football coach Les Miles, he's been a successful college coach at Oklahoma State, LSU, and he's currently at Kansas. But he also has a grass habit. No, not the kind you're thinking about. He actually likes to eat some of the grass from the field before every single game.
Like I said, insanity.
And he also does it in high-pressure situations.
AstroTurf?
Well, no, I don't think he does the artificial turf. But if it's a real grass turf field, he'll pick some of the grass and eat it. And somebody asked him why. Actually, cameras have caught him in the act of munching. And when he's been asked about it, he says, "I have a little tradition that humbles me as a man, that lets me know that I'm a part of the field and a part of the game." And no, I did not make that up either. That's his actual quote.
Wow. So what does he do when there is AstroTurf?
And maybe he has to bring his own grass from somewhere. Runs across the parking lot and finds a grassy spot. Gets some grass from over there. Now, kind of like the Sports Illustrated curse, there's one that's unique just to football, and that's the Madden curse. There's a company called EA Sports that produces a new version of the Xbox game Madden Football, which is named for the former coach and TV personality John Madden.
Right.
And each year, a different player appears on the front cover of the game. Rationally, we all know that there's no correlation between appearing on the Madden cover and a cataclysmic collapse of so many once promising NFL careers. But there's a lot of anecdotal evidence to support this theory. Here's just a few players who have fallen victim to the dreaded curse. Dante Culpepper. The season after appearing on the cover of Madden in 2002, the former Vikings quarterback went 5-11, and he broke the record for the most fumbles in a season. That's going from the height of being on the cover of Madden to holding the record for fumbling the ball most. Plus, there's something just funny about the word fumble, I think.
Yeah, there is.
Then he blew out his knee a couple of years later, and he never returned to form.
That's not funny.
Yeah. After appearing on the cover of Madden in 2004, former Atlanta Falcons quarterback Michael Vick broke his leg in a preseason game, and then during that same year, evidence of his dogfighting ring came to light, and so that was not a good thing for him or for the dogs as well. He did have some success, though, after serving his time for that crime. Former Eagles quarterback Donovan McNabb landed on the cover of Madden in 2006, and he incurred a sports hernia on the very first game of the next season. McNabb played hurt all season until he tore his ACL, and that ended his career early. In 2006, former Seattle Seahawk running back Shaun Alexander landed on the cover of Madden 2007. He suffered an early season injury, which caused a sharp decline in his production, and a year later he was completely out of football. So you see, there is some evidence, or at least some anecdotal evidence, for the Madden curse.
Right.
You would wonder who would want to be on it then after all that, yet still players do want the attention to be on it. Now, there are other sports and other sports personalities that also have their own superstition. NASCAR. You ever watching any NASCAR?
I try not to. I'm sorry.
The start and then the finish.
And then the finish, yeah.
That's right.
There you go.
Instead of the whole 400
Something
laps or something.
400 or 500, depending on what the racing is.
It can be. Well, it can be interesting though. It's quite understandable why NASCAR drivers would embrace certain superstitions. Most athletes that are have a superstition. They're just trying to, hit better or throw better or have a better game. But when you're racing cars, a bad day could mean a very fiery crash. So it's good to hedge your bets any way that you can. Well, there's one NASCAR tradition that means that no peanuts in the shell are allowed to be sold at NASCAR events. It's an old superstition that dates back to racing's early era before World War II. Peanuts in the shell are almost never sold around a NASCAR event. Peanut shells are considered bad luck, and according to racing lore, peanut shells were always found in the smoldering remains of a badly wrecked car.
Were they snacking?
I guess they were snacking while they were driving, and
okay,
then
the shells are a little because you have to shell it to eat it. So I guess don't do that.
Took your attention off of your driving while you were popping your peanut out of the shell. I mean, I can see eating peanuts for some quick energy while you're but not in the shell.
Not in the shell.
Not in the shell.
So that makes sense. So don't even sell them.
Right.
Don't tempt them.
Now, another NASCAR superstition is no $50 bills are allowed around the track. According to legend, two $50 bills were found in the shirt pocket of champion racer Joe Weatherby after he was killed in a crash in 1964. Now, no one knows for sure if that's true, but the lore has stuck, and so no $50 bills are allowed at NASCAR tracks.
Yeah, who cares about truth? This is all superstition.
Now, finally, let's turn to tennis. One of my favorite athletes of all time, Bjorn Borg. Just one reason, he was a great athlete, but the name Bjorn Borg is so much fun to say. The Swedish tennis legend had superstitions that related specifically to Wimbledon. Known as the Iceman for his steely confidence on the court, Borg would always prepare for the annual tournament by growing a beard and wearing the same Fila shirt. These quirks helped him net an amazing 5 straight Wimbledon titles from 1976 through 1980. Now, surprisingly, the Stockholm native's lucky beard has become one of the sport's most popular superstitions and has now been adopted by many athletes in other sports, and it's known as the playoff beard. When the playoffs start, often players will start growing a beard, and they'll keep it going throughout the playoffs as long as they win.
Yeah, wait a minute. That happened in the Astros.
Right.
A few seasons
back.
Yes,
they did. Yes,
okay.
they did.
Anyway.
It's become common in a lot of different sports. And not only the players, but the fans can also grow the playoff beard too. They can do it together. And it may not really be a superstition, but it's a fun way to kind of a good excuse not to have to shave,
and support the team, right?
Right. Now, there's kind of on that same line. This was when I was living up in Seattle back to baseball. There was a player really popular with the Seattle Mariners back in the 90s. His name was Jay Buhner, and very unfashionable at the time. Buhner had a buzz cut. Well, once a year they would have Buhner buzz cut night, and any fan they had barbers waiting outside the stadium, and any fan that would get buzz cut got into the game free. Well, the first time they did it, they were surprised by the turnout. Over 500 people, including 3 women, got buzz cuts. And so when you'd see people around town with buzz cuts, you knew where they had gotten it. They'd gotten it at the Buhner buzz cut.
That's awesome.
You went to see the game, didn't you?
Now, one final athlete, the great athlete, the tennis player, Serena Williams. Her on-court aggressiveness and competitive nature have given her a reputation as one of the greatest and most feared female tennis players of all time. But she believes much of her winning ways are the result of closely followed routines. For her, these quirks include bringing her shower sandals to the court, tying her shoelaces in a specific way, and bouncing a ball 5 times before her first serve and twice before her second. The 14-time Wimbledon champion, it must be working pretty well for her, 14 times, will even wear the same pair of socks during a tournament run without washing them. So it means over a period of several days, you're wearing the same socks without washing them.
Oh,
she's so set on her superstitions that she's chalked up major losses to not following her own routine correctly.
See, I knew baseball players did nasty stuff like that. I didn't know. That's
gives you a whole new appreciation for Serena Williams.
And now for something completely off topic and off kilter. Brace yourself for the oddity du jour.
Okay, so for today's oddity du jour, we have a stranded sailor story. This is, this plays out in Treasure Island. All of this. The movie Castaway.
Right, Castaway.
Like that.
I love that movie.
But this actually happened, and this story comes from NPR on August 4th, 2020. 3 stranded mariners were rescued from a remote island in Micronesia after search crews spotted their SOS message written in the sand. So the 3-person crew of a skiff that had not been heard from since July 29th were reported missing on July 31st. They were reportedly sailing a 23 nautical mile journey from I don't know how to pronounce this, Pulawat to Pulap atolls in the federal states of Micronesia in the Western Pacific when they sailed off course and ran out of fuel. Australian and U.S. military aircraft located the castaways on the beach of Pikelot Island or Pikelot Island. I'm not sure. I should have
Pikelot, I think.
Pikelot on August 1st, according to the U.S. Coast Guard. And we have a picture of it, and you can see they spelled out on the beach.
SOS.
Stones or something. SOS.
You're smart.
So here's a quote. We were toward the end of our search pattern. We turned to avoid some rain showers, and that's when we looked down and saw an island. So we decided to check it out, and that's when we saw the SOS and a boat right next to it on the beach. And this was Lieutenant Colonel Jason Palmera Yen, an Air Force pilot. So as everyone knows, SOS is internationally recognized as a call for help, and the responders moved quickly to answer it. They called in the Australian Navy ship HMAS Canberra because they had 2 nearby helicopters that could land on the island. The helicopter crew located the sailors,
right,
checked for major injuries, and delivered them food and water. And then the men were in good condition. And then they dropped them a radio and told them the FSS Independence was on its way. On Monday, the crew of the Independence picked up the stranded mariners to take them back to their home on Pullup. So through the Captain Christopher Chase, commander of Coast Guard Sector Guam, said the rescue depended on cooperation. Quote, through coordination with multiple response organizations, we were able to save 3 members of our community and bring them back home to their families.
Yay.
So that's a good news story right there.
That is a good one. You know, that reminds me, Leah, of the old television show Gilligan's Island, right?
Right,
you know,
right, the 3-hour tour.
Right, the castaways. But what's kind of interesting about that is that the Coast Guard was getting actual calls from people asking them to go look for these poor people that they were watching on this television show. You know, in the early days of television, sometimes people had trouble distinguishing between fantasy and reality, you know.
Not just then.
Well, right.
But that's funny. That is very funny.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure. I mean, but you know, think about it though. Before you judge that generation too harshly, think about maybe you might have been taken in by an internet hox at one time for their.
That's true. That's
so
true.
To them, it was difficult to distinguish between the show that they were watching and that it was fantasy, not real.
And they had their own theme song. These castaways. I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm sorry. The guy dropped him a radio.
Right.
Is he calling an Uber?
So there was a whole lot of superstitions concerning sports, but there's superstitions surrounding almost anything.
Right.
Theater people have a ton of superstitions.
Yeah, for sure.
Like never saying good luck, and so that's where the term break a leg comes from. They also never mention the name of a certain Scottish play by Shakespeare.
Oh.
Then there's superstitions surrounding monumental events from weddings. You got the something borrowed, something blue. And I think superstitions a lot of times are tied to traditions.
Right, traditions.
And then you feel like if you don't follow that tradition, then, something bad might happen. Or to giving birth, like a baby born with the amniotic sac being around its head or being born within the amniotic sac. That child's supposed to be special and possibly have supernatural powers. Mm-hmm. And that's something that still goes on today. Then there's our celebrations, such as making a wish on candles on birthdays, the Yule log at Christmas. Christmas is full of superstitions.
Right, tradition for sure.
And then isn't it, and I may have gotten this wrong, isn't it cabbage and black-eyed peas? Right?
Well, black-eyed peas at least, on New Year.
Right, and that's supposed to bring good luck.
That's kind of a southern thing, I think.
And these are just our local superstitions. I asked a lot of people on Facebook to share their superstitions, and these were some of the more common ones, and this is where I was going, me too. There's fear of black cats, which I'm not sure there's a whole lot of people that still hold on to that.
Yeah.
Holding your breath when passing a cemetery. Did
No.
you get no?
No.
You guys know?
No.
Okay, well I used to.
I've
I
spent
don't
the
do
night in
it
the
now,
cemetery.
but we used to do that all the time. And somebody said, well, maybe we think it's rude to breathe when they can't. I don't know.
You don't want to be rude to the moldering.
I'm not sure where that comes from, but we talked about horseshoe, but iron of any kind has a lot of superstition about it, warding off evil. And iron was deliberately buried in doorways and under houses.
Huh, okay.
A lot of people still toss salt over their left shoulder if they spill any.
Oh, it's the left shoulder?
Yep, absolutely. It can't be the right shoulder.
Now you
So
know.
if you're left-handed, you gotta accommodate for that. Lifting your feet as you cross a railroad track. I remember riding the bus and all these kids doing that. If your broom falls over, you're having company. I'd never heard that, but there were a lot of people that had that one.
I've not heard that one either.
And I'm thinking if your broom falls over without anybody around it, you might have ghosts. So there's company for you.
But if it's in the South, it's because the truck's muffler went off.
Right.
Or if you sweep under someone's feet, they'll never marry. I had never heard that one either.
I've never heard that one either.
If you move, there's a lot of things about a broom. If you move out of an apartment or house, you have to leave a broom behind for good luck to yourself and the place's new occupants.
So everybody leaves their broom where they left. The broom stays with the place.
Yeah, or
okay.
I don't know. And then catching a leaf as it falls from the tree is good luck. So never heard of that one either.
Right.
And then this was funny. Several people said their mothers told them not to put shoes on the table as it means that someone in the family will die. But most agree that it was a way to keep the table clean.
Right.
Don't put, I'd tell my
your
kids
shoes up
anything.
over.
Don't put your shoes on the table.
Right.
I'm going to beat you. But and that's bad luck. But one commenter said that her mother told her that it came from the old days where the body of a recently deceased family member was laid out on the home's table for visitors to pay their respects. Therefore, the only time shoes were on the table was during the time of death.
Oh, okay.
Making a wish on a fallen eyelash. I've done that as a kid.
Fallen eyelash.
You'd have to be able to see
I
it.
don't even see my fallen eyelashes.
When you're a kid, you see a whole lot better than we do now. But if you get a little eyelash, then you blow on it, blow it away, and you make a wish. Come on, guys, y'all
Right.
didn't do that.
No, I'm afraid not.
And so a lot of people do this. I think I'd heard about it, but I never did it. You say bread and butter.
Oh yeah.
Wanna-
if you're
walking with
around
someone,
something, yeah.
Right, and you get separated like going on either side of a pole. I always pick up pennies I see on the ground, and of course any other coins, cash,
Right.
or anything. But many people say that they won't pick it up if it's on tails.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, turn it over and pick it up.
no, see, and I think
Oh,
that's
yeah,
but I
that's
think
You'd have
I'm
to use
sorry.
a stick
Okay.
because
Some gum.
it's not you; it's the stick turning it
that's
over.
talent if you can if you can turn it up. But a lot of people say they'll turn it over so that the next person that comes along sees it and gets
Right.
good luck. But I'm like, if it's a penny, it's good luck, period.
It's still money.
And then and any coins. Don't step on cracks or you'll break your mother's back.
Oh, do you remember the Gary Larson Far Side cartoon? It showed the hospital for mothers of kids who stepped on cracks.
We got to find that. We got to find that and share that. That's awesome. But I remember doing that as a kid. We did that. And I also remember my kids doing that in the grocery store, and they're like taking forever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care. My back can be broken. Come on.
Yeah.
And then when you shiver for no reason, it means someone, or sometimes a goose or a cat, has walked over your grave. Have you heard that?
Well, how can you shiver when you're in the grave?
No, it's like your future grave.
Oh, your future grave. Oh, okay.
I remember when I was dating my husband, I shivered like that. And I said, oh, somebody walked over my grave. And he looked at me like I was so strange. He's like, what? And I'm like,
But he married you anyway. Isn't that great?
anyway, yeah.
What a great story.
But I'm not the only one. It's a thing. I promise. And it's bad luck to open an umbrella in the house, but I think that's kind of like the shoes on the table. Like you don't want to do that. And one commenter says that she never whistles at night. This is so interesting. Her Navajo family taught her that it'll call the attention of a skinwalker.
I guess I don't know what a skinwalker is, but it doesn't sound good.
Well, Navajo won't talk to you about skinwalkers.
Right.
That's a whole other episode.
Right.
But it's is specifically a Navajo thing, and it's fascinating.
Oh,
And
I have
also-
heard this one, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, never give anyone a knife. It'll sever your relationship. So if you want to give a knife as a gift, then take a coin from them so that they are then buying the knife.
Now, I can remember my dad doing that. You would get a dime, you would...
See? You
a
do
pocket
have
knife,
superstitions in your family.
I guess so. I hadn't thought about that one. I don't know how serious he was with it, but it was just, he would do it anyway. Yeah, you'd give somebody a dime, just for the fun of it.
And another thing that I thought about during all of this is that superstitions are very cultural. And I think about my Irish heritage and all of the Celtic superstitions surrounding banshee, leprechauns, fairies, and all the things that you do to avoid drawing their attention and making them angry with you. So do you think, as geography teacher, do you think that there's any one culture that has a monopoly on superstition?
What comes to mind is in India, it seems like there are so many different thoughts, and it's hard to decide if it's if it's part of religion or if it's part of superstition, or if that kind of blends together. But there are quite a few different thoughts about different animals and different practices in that culture. So that's the first one that comes to my mind.
And to be absolutely fair, there's a lot of tradition and superstition surrounding Christianity and Judaism and things like that. It's really hard. So superstitions and phobias go hand in hand.
Right.
Superstitions and religion kind
Religions
of goes
can
hand in
certainly
hand.
go hand in
right.
hand, yeah.
And so we really just hit the tip of the iceberg on
Right.
this.
Lots of superstitions.
A lot of superstitions.
And now it's time, boys and girls, for the Trivia Challenge.
Well, here's how our Trivia Challenge works. You want to like and follow our Facebook page at Remnant Stew Podcast. You want to like and share this episode post. You want to put your answer to the Trivia Challenge question in the comments of that post. The first person to do all that will be the winner. And will be mentioned on the next episode of Remnant Stew and have great acclaim cast upon them.
Yay!
Okay, so this is a cultural superstition. There's an amulet found in many cultures and locales, but specifically from Turkey, that is traditionally made from colored glass, fashioned into bracelets, all kinds of jewelry, wall hangings, and even a large sculpture in the Netherlands. The Netherlands. That's what the Netherlands.
Yeah, the real one, not the Peter Pan one.
That's right. It was said to ward off evil. So it's made its way into our modern world by being featured as an emoji. So what is this amulet or symbol called?
I think I know this one.
Remnant Stew is created by me, Leah Lamp. Dr. Judy Meeker and I research, write, and host each episode. Audio is produced by Philip Sinquefield, who does whatever he can to make us sound good. Our theme music is by Kevin MacLeod, with voiceover by Morgan Hughes. You can connect with us through Facebook and Instagram. And if you have an idea that you would like to hear us cover in a future episode, or want to suggest a bookstore for the future bookstore spot, you can email suggestions to us at staycurious@remnantstew.com.
Now, before you go, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss an episode. Maybe take time to give us a review on iTunes.
Oh, we love reviews.
And we do. Share Remnant Stew with your friends, your family, your teacher, your principal, your boss, your dentist. They all love it. And until next time, remember, make the choice to be kind to all. And always stay curious.